On a stormy winter night, I found myself alone in my family's remote countryside house. The power had gone out, and the only light came from the occasional flash of lightning, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The howling wind and the sound of rain battering against the windows created an unsettling symphony. I tried to comfort myself with the thought that it was just a storm, nothing more. But then, amidst the thunder, I heard something else. A faint tapping, rhythmic and deliberate, coming from the back door. My heart raced as I approached the door, each step feeling heavier than the last. Peering through the peephole, I saw nothing but the storm's fury. Convinced it was just my imagination, I turned to head back when the tapping started again, louder this time, accompanied by a low, guttural growl. Frozen in fear, I couldn't move. The growl grew into a sinister chuckle, and then, in a fleeting moment of courage, I opened the door. To my horror, there was nothing but the stormy darkness, yet the chuckling continued, now echoing around me in the empty house. I slammed the door shut and backed away, only to stumble over something unexpectedly. Regaining my balance, I realized it was our old family portrait, now lying on the floor, its glass shattered. The faces in the portrait were disfigured, scratched out violently, especially mine. The rest of the night was a blur of terror. Shadows seemed to move, whispers filled the air, and the feeling of being watched was relentless. When morning finally arrived, the house was silent again, but the portrait remained on the floor, a chilling reminder that some nights you're never truly alone. In the heart of winter, I found myself alone in our family's old Victorian mansion, a relic from an era long past. My parents were away, and the vastness of the house echoed with the silence of centuries. It was a labyrinth of shadowy corridors and creaking floors, each room filled with antique furniture that seemed to whisper tales of yesteryear. The first night, as I settled in, the wind outside morphed into mournful wails, as if the house itself was lamenting. It was then I heard the grandfather clock in the hall strike midnight, its chimes resonating through the house like a foreboding warning. Following the last chime, an unsettling quiet descended, and I heard it, a faint melody playing from somewhere deep within the mansion. It was a piano, its keys seemingly moved by invisible hands, playing a somber tune that sent shivers down my spine. Compelled by a mixture of fear and curiosity, I ventured through the dark corridors, guided only by the flickering light of my candle. The melody grew louder as I approached the grand ballroom. The door creaked open, and there, in the moonlit room, was the grand piano. Its keys were moving on their own, playing the haunting melody. Suddenly, the music stopped and the candle extinguished, plunging me into darkness. A cold breeze brushed past me, and I heard whispers as if the walls themselves were speaking. The temperature dropped, my breath visible in the moonlight streaming through the windows. I felt a presence, an unseen entity, watching me. Panicked, I ran back to my room, the sound of my footsteps echoing in the empty halls. Slamming the door behind me, I found momentary safety, but as I sat on the bed trying to calm my racing heart, I noticed something unsettling, the reflection in the mirror across the room. It wasn't my own. It was a figure, shrouded in darkness, standing right behind me. I turned, but there was nothing there, only the lingering chill of the unexplained. The rest of the night, every creak and groan of the house felt like a step of something unseen. The piano continued to play intermittently, its melancholy notes a reminder of the mansion's eerie past. As dawn broke, the house returned to its silent, brooding self, but the experience left me with an unshakable feeling of being watched, a sense that the mansion held secrets far darker than its abandoned halls and hidden rooms could tell. The whispers in the walls, the ghostly piano, the shadow in the mirror. They were all parts of a puzzle I wasn't sure I wanted to solve. In a remote part of the countryside, my parents left me alone for the weekend in our old, sprawling farmhouse. The house, an inheritance from generations past, always had an air of mystery, with its creaking floorboards and windows that whistled with every gust of wind. On the first evening, a dense fog enveloped the house, as if isolating me from the rest of the world. I felt an eerie stillness in the air, a silence so profound it was almost suffocating. As night fell, the usual comfort of solitude turned into a creeping sense of dread. I tried to distract myself with a book, but the words blurred before my eyes, my attention drawn instead to the peculiar sounds of the house. That's when I heard it, a soft thumping sound, rhythmic and steady, coming from the attic. The sound was out of place, foreign to the usual symphony of the old house. My heart pounding, I mustered the courage to investigate. As I ascended the creaking attic stairs, the thumping grew louder, more urgent. Reaching the top, I hesitated at the door, my hand trembling as I grasped the cold doorknob. Pushing the door open, I was met with a gust of icy air. The attic was shrouded in darkness, save for a faint light emanating from a corner. There, an old rocking chair moved back and forth by itself, the source of the thumping sound. As I stepped closer, the rocking chair suddenly stopped, and the light vanished, plunging me into an oppressive darkness. In the pitch black, I felt a presence, as though someone or something was watching me. I heard a whisper, soft but clear, calling my name. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Frantically, I turned to leave, but stumbled over an unseen object. My hands found an old, dusty box, and inside photographs of people I didn't recognize, their eyes scratched out, and a locket containing a picture of a woman who bore a striking resemblance to me. I rushed downstairs, the whispers following me, growing into a chorus of voices pleading and crying. That night, the farmhouse transformed into a place of nightmares. Shadows danced in the corners of my vision, and the photographs' faces appeared in windows and mirrors, their expressions twisted in silent screams. As dawn broke, the house fell silent, the fog lifted, and the photographs were gone, as if they were never there. But the locket remained, a tangible piece of the night's terror. I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever resided in that house, in that attic, was not just a remnant of the past, but a harbinger of a haunting that was far from over.